clap their hands. Otherwise, we'll never hear the end of it. I'll be in the doghouse forever. Let's have our final guest up. She's making her long anticipated return to a WWE ring next month at NXT TakeOver, ladies and gentlemen, Mickie James.
No, I would never. It's delicious, from what I heard. I don't know.
Oh, it's like Fireball or something.
Jack Daniels apparently makes a fire alcohol beverage. I didn't know that. Fireball.
How many of those have you had before you go on your phone?
3.
All right. So by the end of that one, we're in the danger zone. So
I didn't get myself one. No, I would never. I got you one though because I felt like you had to catch up because you've been up here for like an hour.
I know.
Nursing that fear.
We were just about to fly over here. We've been here for almost a month. And we were at the airport getting ready to fly over here, and you got the call.
Yeah.
I wanted you to,
which we were late to the airport for because you couldn't finish packing your bags. You had to pack all your jewelry. It was crazy. I was like, you have to match your jewelry to your outfits to your shoes? This is crazy. What's wrong with you?
The worst thing about being married to someone in the same business as you is that you realize that you have no choice on your road partner anymore. Because if I had a choice of who to ride with, you'd be bottom of the list. You can't be on time. You can't be on time for anything.
No.
This is the truth. I can sit there and say, we have to leave in 30 minutes. Can you be ready in 30 minutes? Yeah. 20 minutes later, I can come into the room and she'll be naked and nothing's packed, everything's all over the floor, and I just look and go, what is this? and you go like, what? I go, 20 minutes ago I said be ready in 30 minutes. And then you go, oh, is that the time? Oh my God. And then we'll get there, and then as soon as we get everywhere, she'll go, sorry, Nick was late, like we had to wait. It's brutal, absolutely brutal, but despite that.
He loves me anyway.
We got the, you got the phone call when we were at the airport.
We were sitting in Orlando, right?
Yes.
Ready to fly here.
Yeah, we were getting ready, and obviously, if we could be serious for a moment.
Where's my cheese?
There was it's no secret that it was long anticipated for you, and now that it's on the horizon, how do you feel about where you're at and what you're gonna, what you want to achieve from this NXT TakeOver match?
It's a good question, actually, the way you posed that. I guess, it's ironic because I said it, and I said this last night. I go, it's funny how things work out in your life because my departure of TNA and then sitting there kind of waiting. Obviously my intention was like to hope and to maybe go back to WWE. I realized that I'm not as young as I once was, and I'm certainly not as young and as even sometimes I look at the talent right now and how just incredibly gifted they are and how they have all these tools at their disposal and how the business has evolved and therefore so has the matches and the female talent. When I broke onto the scene, when I was working the indies, there was maybe a handful of really great girls out there that could work, and I was lucky to be one of them. And now, the competition is so thick. There are some with Shine and Shimmer and all these all-girl federations, and this is amazing talent from all across the globe. Your chances now have become even slimmer than they once were. I mean, obviously as a female, you know, there's one spot on the card for a female. There's one championship or one for each show at this point. But at one point there was just one female championship and there was several for the men. So you were vying for that one spot, that one opportunity to get a shot at that one title. And it seems like it's a lot harder these days. And I just kind of felt like, in my heart, I knew how, you don't sit there and toot your own horn, but at the same time I go, yeah, as for a female, because I feel like as for a female, your careers are a lot shorter than for the males. You can wrestle as a male, you can wrestle into your 50s or 60s and still be at the top of your game and still do a lot of things. But for a female, you know, you get to your 30s and it's 30s, 40s, 40s you're done. You know, unless you're just, you know, you move on to a different role. Like we're fortunate, you know, Vicky Guerrero moved into like that managerial role and was one of the top hated heels on the entire show. Like got bigger boos than a lot of the male talent. But I kind of like, after hoping to go back and praying to go back, and then I got pregnant and I had a beautiful son and he's amazing. He's changed my entire life, but he's also changed my entire perspective on things. So it's just funny how life works, because after I'd kind of like given up that illusion of like, oh, maybe they'll have me back. I'm really, like, I still feel like I'm talented. I still feel like I have a lot to offer, and especially at that genre. You go back 2-3 years ago, the talent on TV, I felt in my heart, I was just as good as them, and still had just as much to offer as, or if not more than them. But to compare myself to the female talent that's on TV right now, they're awesome. Like, these girls are killing it every night. They're getting main event spots, they're, you know, doing Hell in a Cell, they're doing these incredible things, and they absolutely deserve these accolades. So I just didn't know where my heart and my role fit anymore. So it's I just kind of let go of that position of like, I'm just gonna quit hoping and praying for that one opportunity to even like end my career the way I wanted to, because at the moment it's like, it wasn't where I wanted it. So it's just funny how when you finally let go of like pursuit of like just going after this or hoping or praying for this shot that is not completely up to you, that like it's kind of presented itself in a different, unique way.
It's really not, it's not at all up to you.
It's not up to you at all. Like, you know, you go like, the amount of people that'll go like, oh, when are you going back to WWE? Like, well, now we know, November 19th. But ultimately, you can't answer that question because it's not up to you. You have no control over that. If they want you, they want you, and if they don't, they don't. You have to be a big enough person to be able to swallow that pill whichever way it comes, right? Right.
You're wrestling Asuka.
Asuka.
We've been Asuka. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
There's and it seems like, and I'm tread carefully when I say it seems like NXT is probably the show that's most focused on the in-ring product. It's sort of where the wrestling is very much at the forefront. Did you take that as a compliment that that's where they decided to place you and to wrestle with Asuka, who's been mowing through everybody,
yeah,
and is really sort of carving out a reputation as this serious, competitor, and
Absolutely. Well, and if you look at what she's done in Japan prior to coming to NXT, like she was a star in Japan prior to coming to NXT. She had her own company and she was doing pretty well for herself. So in reality, monetarily wise, she probably didn't need to go to NXT. But I think that as a professional, she realized that if she ever wanted to go to the next level, she had to go to NXT and she had to go to WWE, and then hopefully go to WWE and be able to take her name incredibly, to the next level.
Well, and like Bull touched on earlier, body of work, being able to have that, for the Japanese wrestlers, when Japanese wrestlers, it's much harder for Japanese guys to make a name for themselves
in the U.S.
everywhere else
because of the language barrier or the connection with people,
just the sensibilities of the audience,
right? And their style of wrestling is so different than pretty much everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, and people don't understand that the beauty of Japan and the Japanese fans is that they really want and embrace all the gaijin. They want people from all over the world to sort of, to yes, you know, a lot of the time you're brought in to, you know, to be the villain to their hero and everything like that, but they're much more embracing of it.
Yeah, but I think if you look at the history of even like all Japanese wrestling, let's say the Bullet Club, for example, like they are completely Americanized wrestlers, but they have this is the one thing that's different. You know, Nakamura, for example, like this is the one thing that's different in Japan is that like their wrestlers are so serious and about the wrestling that when a character finally comes on the scene, they just go crazy for it because it's so different, it's so unique to something that they're not used to seeing on the daily because they see. Whereas, like here, for example, I think England, especially, but Europe's become a huge hotbed for professional wrestling, especially in today's society. But like Japan, they have wrestling almost every night of the week, somewhere, somehow, whether it's an all-girls promotion or an all-guys promotion or New Japan or whatever. Like, so they see it, but they're very respectful and they kind of, you know, they sit and they watch. But when a character comes out that they can actually sit there and boo or cheer and like get that a little bit of what I call is like, you know, Americanized wrestling, they eat it up because it's so different than what they're used to seeing. So I think for me, like just going to NXT to get back to your question as I tapered off, I did take it as a compliment because obviously I feel like indirectly they trust me enough to help not only take, you know, Asuka to the next level, but then to hopefully then come in as myself and then maybe rebrand myself in some situation to show that I can still go to the level of competition that they're trying to push for tomorrow's superstars. You know what I mean? So it's like, if they trust me enough to help elevate a character for tomorrow, then they obviously still believe in me, just maybe that much.
I think they believe in you a little more than that, and I'm sure that everyone here can agree that you know that they believe in you as well. I'm sure everyone here will heavily anticipate that match, which
really
is coming
excited
up November 19th, NXT Takeover. She takes on Asuka. Let's hear it from Mickie James.
Yay!